alongside new York United head coach Mauro Eustáquio. Mauro, I know you've done a lot of these interviews today, but we have some stuff we want to ask you about. I mean, for one, taking over this job as a fourth permanent head coach of York, but you've been here for so long. What made you feel like you were ready to take on this job?
I think the timing is quite good. I think I would say York is probably living its best moments. We have an ownership that knows exactly how they want to grow the club and how they want to do it. Obviously with our sporting director, with the knowledge that he's bringing in the organization that he's been showing in the last bit, he knows what and how he wants to do it too. So I think, I've been here for 4 years, been through a lot when it comes to ownership, no ownership, we're here, we're there. So I think we now finally started to organize the house, and I know pretty much every corner to the house. So it's been quite a good ride. I think the bus passed by and I decided to jump in. So I feel confident, I feel committed to the cause. The club itself means a lot to me on the personal level as well. So I'm excited.
As you mentioned, you know this club really well. You've seen some lows, you've seen some highs of the last few years. So I feel like you more than anybody know kind of where this club is right now and maybe how important it is to have a little stability, have some of these familiar faces in a room.
Yeah, I mean that's the number one thing that the ownership was obviously trying to chase. They wanted someone that is willing to commit to the cause, willing to commit to the project. And that's something that I wanted to do. Obviously, stability is important. We want to make sure that the progress is going forward and going in the right manner. So again, for me, it was the project itself and the way that they talked about it, and obviously working with them now for a year. I know exactly what the vision is. I know how I can add my little flair to it. So it's I'm excited.
Yeah, I want to ask about you as a coach and what you'll kind of be as the leader of this club. Ricardo and Jorge kind of said just now in their press conference that you convinced them that you were the right man. What did you say to convince them?
No, I mean, I didn't say much, to be honest. I didn't say much. I think the biggest thing here, I think every coach, and it doesn't really matter in any sport, but they can promise goals, wins, and clean sheets. I think that's something that everybody wants. You're in sports to obviously compete. You're in the sports to win trophies, and that makes you win trophies. But I think the base of that is, what I believe in and what I'm addicted to is work. I'm a guy that I work day in, day out. Going through that assistant coaching role just showed me how much work you got to be putting into. So I know exactly, what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And again, I think that foundation, obviously from the staff and from the ownership, passing through the players, is we got to work. We got to work, and that's going to be our foundation. That's something that we're going to go back to every day. And then everything else is going to come along with that. I think if we work, we're going to be obviously closer to get to our objectives, and that's the ultimate goal.
You've played under a lot of different really great coaches, both Canadian and international. Just this past year, you worked under two very different personalities, I think, in Nashi and Benjamin. What do you kind of take out of all of these boxes, but also how do you kind of distinguish yourself as your own man, your own coach?
I think you obviously try and get a little bit from everybody, and you kind of learn as much as you can, and you think some ideas are good, some ideas are not so good. Ultimately, I think the biggest thing here is I got to stick true to myself. I gotta be myself. I gotta do what I believe is a core value of what a team is, of what a club can be, and how to build a culture. Because I think the minute that I step away from that and start lying to myself, I think everything's just gonna go downhill from there. So I know what I stand up for. I know what my core values are, and again, experiences has told me that you got to stick to yourself. You got to stick to your guns, and you might win some, you might lose some, but at the end of the day, it's what you want and what you believe in. So I was very clear with that with the ownership. They obviously have the same core values as myself, and again, I think. I wanna stick to those and be in my comfort zone, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about putting a team on the pitch here at York, just in terms of how you want to play football, like what are some of the things that come to mind as priorities, and what are maybe some of the examples you look at, the things you've learned from anywhere in football that you kind of admire and are inspired by?
No, I think ultimately you want to be able to control all moments of the game. There's not one team in the world that is consistently attacking, and there's not one team in the world that's consistently defending. I think we have to be able to control those moments. Either you're attacking, or you're defending, or you're in a transitional moment. I think that's the beauty of the game. Is you have to try and have an overall approach to the game, and really think about, okay, how can I make the team better on A, B, and C. And that's the approach that I've been doing. I think obviously studying the team, studying the league for the last 4 years puts me in a position where I think I'm quite comfortable in understanding what the managers do, what players are like. So I think I understand that model. Obviously playing so many times with the same coaches, with the same players, same teams. I get to understand, okay, this person likes to do this coach likes to do that. So I think right now is really kind of focusing on how do we control all moments, really going into detail on how we want to set up the preseason, on going into detail on how the preseason is going to allow us to compete and be successful on the field during the season. So again, like I said, I think we're going to see a team that's going to be able to adapt to different scenarios and overall be very competitive in multiple aspects of the game.
There's all sorts of kind of headlines and stats around you being appointed head coach. First of all, the youngest head coach, not only in CPL history, but according to the club in Tier 1 North American professional soccer. There are players older than you in this league.
Yeah.
So I guess just with that in mind, what have you learned about leadership and the age not really being a factor in your ability to take over and be the man in charge of the club?
No, I think obviously those stats are something that when you're in the game you don't really pay attention to. It's things obviously the media really give emphasis to, and you kind of just nod your head and say, yeah, that's cool. But I think the biggest thing for me is the moment. I feel like I'm ready, and it doesn't matter what age I'm at. Obviously the ownership has my back in the sense that they picked me for this job. Ultimately, it's how I feel, and I feel confident, I feel comfortable, and this is something that I want. So that's where we are. That's what I wanna continue to do. I think the word respect is something that has followed me now for my whole life, but more in the last couple years, because I did have that thought process at the beginning when I did become an assistant coach, and I was, I believe, 28, 29 at that point, and I was like, I was just playing with half of these guys 6 months ago. Yeah. So it was like, okay, how is that gonna, how that approach is gonna be? I was, high-fiving these guys in the locker room, but now I'm telling them, don't be lazy. I'm screaming at them. So I had to really understand on how that approach was gonna be. But, I learned that it's respect, and that quickly, that first week was very smooth. I understood exactly what it meant. The players understood what it meant. So again, I'm gonna really lay back on that word and really respect in the locker room, respect in the environment, and respect our culture.
As you mentioned, when you stepped into coaching, you'd been playing in this league not long before. You're not the only former CPL player to step into a coaching role. Nick Ledgerwood, David Edgar, Daryl Fordyce, there's plenty, but obviously the first to take control of a club. What does it mean for kind of the game in this country that these opportunities exist now for Canadian footballers to stay in the game and coaching roles at home?
I think it's important. I think, I went through the phase where in the old NASL days, we didn't have many Canadian professional teams at that point. In that league in particular, it was only Ottawa and Edmonton. And you'd see that there's a lot of talent in Europe, and not only, but mainly in Europe, that wanted to come back home and wanted to make sure that, they were given opportunities to play. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm 33, 34, 35, then what do I do? Do I get a normal job? Do I not? And I think the Canadian Premier League has now given the opportunity for those ex-players that are a little bit older now to stay in the game, make the game grow. I think that is something that we've been through as players, that, maybe the quality wasn't the greatest, but we made sure that we were professionals. We made sure that we kept this game growing in the country, and I think the CPL is now doing that not only for players, but for coaching staff as well. And not only coaching staff. I think there's a bunch of ex teammates of mine that are in the business of the soccer world. Obviously, Mason at Calvary has a different role, not on so much on the field. Jamar Dixon also played with him in Ottawa. Again, not a coach, but in the sporting director role. So again, that for me is very good. You're not only adding experience and a lot of knowledge to the league, but you're adding a lot of Canadians. You're adding people that want to see this grow, and I think that's super important.
I mean, even somebody like Ali Minitel, who got that job in the CPL and has now moved up to an MLS job.
Exactly. I mean, I lived with Oliver. Still consistent talks with him, and I'm extremely proud of his development where he is now. I mean, again, he's someone that knows the game very well, and he definitely knows what he's doing.
And just this coaching ecosystem kind of continues to grow in Canada, right? The opportunities are increasing. Obviously, yourself, Patrice Geyser, getting invited to work with the Canadian men's national team under Jesse Marsh in these camps. What do those kind of opportunities also add to continue kind of just building the Canadian coaching quality?
Yeah, I think obviously the idea brought over from Jesse Marsh to bring in coaches to understand how he does things, and I think that's fantastic. That just shows that obviously he's confident in what that he's doing, but also just the type of person that he is. He knows that he's building. He knows that he's in a situation that he wants to build not only the men's program, but the soccer community in Canada, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, I spend about 10 days with him and his staff, and I kind of wish it was 3 months, because every day there's something new. Every day there was something that you can bounce ideas off. You were testing yourself. You were stimulating your mindset. So I think it was very good. I mean, obviously I have nothing but good things to say about Jesse, and he congratulated me already with the whole process, and that just goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to wrap us up, back to York United. The work has obviously begun. I don't have any idea what time it is of year, but I think 4 or 5 months till we kick a ball again in the Canadian Premier League. What does this time period look like for you? And maybe if you could explain the relationship and the working structure with the management here at York, the ownership, and how you guys are going to kind of work together to build a team and put it on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in contact over the last 24 hours, which seemed like it's been a month with the amount of phone calls that we've been making between each other. But it's been good. It's a process that I'm quite familiar with the league. I'm quite obviously familiar of what is needed when you come and talk about internationals. So it's going to be a process. Obviously, I'm going to be working very closely with Jorge, understanding obviously what we want and what we need. I think we got to do a deep dive here now into what we have already, how we want to add to it, but again, securing the pieces that we want to secure here. It's exciting. I think we have so much to build on. I think last year was good, and we can improve in multiple areas. So again, it's about, I guess, I wouldn't say starting the work, but continuing the work. Even though there's a long way ahead, I think there's a lot to be done. So it's again, it's exciting, and I'm happy to finalize it.
Really well, Mauro Eustáquio, far from the last time we're going to hear from you, or the last time you're going to hear from us.
Yeah.
But for now, congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you.